Do you need to spend a lot to get a fast, accurate, and durable instant read thermometer? Or are the cheaper ones just as good? To answer that question and find out which one is truly the best, I tested 6 of the highest rated brands on the market, ranging from $16 to over $100. After using each for several weeks, I conducted a series of controlled tests. I tested their speed and accuracy in 3 different scenarios: boiling water at 212 degrees Fahrenheit, a precisely controlled pot of 124 degrees Fahrenheit water, and an ice bath at 32 degrees Fahrenheit. For each test, I took 3 readings per thermometer to check for consistency. To see if they live up to their waterproof claims, I submerged them under water for 20 minutes and checked to see if they still worked. I tested their durability by knocking them off a table onto a hardwood floor twice. I tested how easy they are to read in the dark by comparing their backlights in a completely blacked out room. I also unscrewed and removed the batteries 10 times each to get a feel for how easy it is to access the compartment and how well the covers hold up over time. Beyond these tests, I compared key factors like magnet strength, probe length, how long their backlights stay on, and how comfortable they are to hold with both hands. In this video, I break down each thermometer. I'll show you which ones are worth buying and which ones you should avoid. I'll also show you a comparison chart so you can see all the key specs and test results side by side. I'll start with the most affordable and end with the most expensive. The Alpha Griller's Instant Read Thermometer is the most affordable one I tested. It powers on when you unfold the probe and shuts off when you close it. It also goes into sleep mode after 10 minutes, but unlike most of the others, it doesn't auto-wake when you pick it up. You have to close and reopen the probe to turn it back on. Also, the screen doesn't rotate, which makes it harder to use if you're left-handed. The buttons to hold the temperature, turn on the backlight, and switch between Fahrenheit and Celsius are easy to access. But since the Fahrenheit to Celsius button is something you only need to set once, I wish it wasn't placed right where your thumb can accidentally hit it. It also has a hanging loop and a magnet for storage. In terms of speed, it was right in the middle of the pack. The bigger issue was accuracy. In all 3 tests, it was consistently 1 to 2 degrees below the actual temperature. It read 210 in the 212 degree boiling water, 122 in the 124 degree sous vide bath, and 31 in the 32 degree ice bath. You can recalibrate it, but that's not something you should have to do in the first few months. It has an IP67 waterproof rating, which means it can be submerged in water for up to 30 minutes. And my tests confirmed that claim. It also survived the drops with no damage or performance issues. The battery cover was easy to open and close, but you need a coin or a knife. And because the groove is shallow, the knife can slip and chew up the plastic. The backlight is bright and the numbers are easy to read head on, but they're not visible if you tilt it downward. It also has the shortest backlight duration of any thermometer I tested, just 8 seconds before it shuts off. The ThermoPro TP19H costs about the same as Alpha Griller's, but it comes with a few more advanced features. It goes into sleep mode after 10 minutes and auto-wakes when you pick it up. The screen rotates automatically in 2 directions, which makes it easier to read whether you're a righty or a lefty. I like that the lock and light buttons are large and easy to access, and that the Fahrenheit to Celsius switch is on the back and requires a 5-second hold, so there's no risk of accidentally hitting it. It also has a hanging loop and a magnet for storage. In terms of speed, it was one of the slowest thermometers I tested. It averaged around 8 seconds to get a stable read in boiling water, 6 seconds in warm water, and 5 seconds in the ice bath. It's also slow to turn on. When you open the probe, it takes a few seconds for the temperature to appear, while most others turn on instantly. Accuracy was mixed. It read slightly low in both the boiling and sous vide tests, but was spot on in the ice bath. It has an IP65 rating, which means it can handle water spray, but shouldn't be submerged. To test that, I rinsed it several times, and it still worked fine afterward. It also passed the drop test with no damage. The battery cover is easy to open, but you need a Phillips head screwdriver to do it. Fortunately, ThermoPro includes a mini screwdriver in the box, which is a nice touch. The backlight is on by default when you open the probe, and it stays on for 17 seconds. That's the longest of any thermometer I tested. The next closest was 12 seconds. Like Alpha Griller's, it's easy to read in the dark, but the digits fade if you tilt it down and view from an angle. The ThermoWorks ThermaPop 2 was named the best overall instant read thermometer by the New York Times. Unlike the others, the ThermoPop doesn't fold. The probe is fixed and it comes with a sheath. It powers on with a press of a button, and you need to hold the button for 5 seconds to turn it off, which is easy to forget. It has a 4-direction rotating screen, so the numbers stay upright no matter how you're holding it. However, there's no magnet, no hanging hole, and the body is small and slippery, so it's easy to drop if your hands are wet or you're wearing gloves. There's also no stabilization alert or temperature lock, which some of the other models offer. Speed was a major downside. It was slightly slower than average in boiling water, taking about 4 seconds compared to the 3-second group average. And it was the slowest thermometer in both the sous vide and ice bath tests, where it took 7 or more seconds to hit the target temperatures. The lack of speed is a bigger problem with this design because the probe doesn't have a handle. You have to pinch the small head between your fingers, which puts your hand directly over the food. If there's steam or splatter, you're more likely to get burned if you're holding it there for a long time. Accuracy, however, was excellent. It consistently hit the correct temperature in all 3 tests without any drift or fluctuation. It's waterproof with an IP67 rating, and it worked perfectly after being submerged for 20 minutes. It also passed the drop test with no damage. The battery cover is easy to unscrew, but the small CR2032 battery can be tricky to remove. There's not much space to get a fingernail or tool underneath it. The backlight stays on for 11 seconds, and it's easy to read head-on. But like most thermometers in this group, the digits disappear if you tilt at an angle. The Javelin PRO Duo from Lavatools was named the best mid-priced instant read thermometer by both the New York Times and America's Test Kitchen. The screen rotates automatically in 2 directions, and it has a stabilization alert. The screen beeps when the temperature reading locks in. You can also tap the sensor on the front to activate the backlight. That said, a few things could be improved. The touch sensor doesn't always register taps, especially with wet fingers or gloves, and if you want to switch from Fahrenheit to Celsius, or disable the stabilization alert, you need to open the battery compartment and flip on one of the several tiny unlabeled switches. In terms of performance, it was one of the best. It was the 2nd fastest in the boiling water test, reaching 212 degrees in just 2 seconds. And it was also the fastest in the ice bath, reaching 32 degrees in 3 seconds. While it was 1 degree short in the sous vide test, the overall speed and consistency were impressive. It's rated IP65, so it's splash-proof, but not totally waterproof. I rinsed it several times under running water and it still worked fine. It also passed the drop test with no damage. The battery compartment is easy to open and the groove is deeper than the one on the Alpha grillers, so you're less likely to slip and chew up the plastic when using a coin or a butter knife. The backlight stays on for 12 seconds, which is the 2nd longest of the group. And unlike most of the others, the digits stay visible even when you tilt it downward. The Typhur InstaProbe core is the 2nd most expensive thermometer I tested, and it looks the part with a sleek all-black design and a bright always-on LED display. The screen is crisp, easy to read from any angle, and it stays visible in both full daylight and complete darkness. There's no backlight to trigger or time out. The display rotates in 2 positions. It has a button to lock the temperature and another to switch between Fahrenheit and Celsius, although I wish the lock button was closer to where your thumb naturally rests. There's no hanging loop, but it does have a magnet, and it was the strongest magnet I tested. In the boiling water test, it reached 212 degrees in 3 seconds, which was right in the middle of the pack. In the sous vide test, it hit 123, which was slightly off the 124 degree target, but it hit that mark 1 second faster than average. In the ice bath, it hit the target of 32 degrees on all 3 attempts, but it took an average of 7 seconds to get there, which made it the 2nd slowest in that test. It passed the waterproof test with no issues, and it showed no signs of damage or malfunctions after 2 drops. It was also one of the easiest thermometers to open and close. The ThermoWorks Thermapen ONE is the most expensive thermometer I tested, but it also gets the highest ratings. It's the New York Times upgrade pick and has been America's Test Kitchen's top recommendation for years. It has a minimalist design with no buttons on the exterior. There's no lock, hold, or backlight button. The screen lights up automatically, and settings like Fahrenheit to Celsius, sleep timer, and whether decimals show are all hidden inside the battery compartment. The display rotates automatically in all 4 directions, but you can also lock it in one position if you prefer. One thing to note, There's no magnet or hanging loop, so you'll have to keep it in a drawer. The first thing you'll notice when using the Thermapen ONE is how fast it is. It turns on the instant you open the probe and displays the temperature immediately. Some of the others take a second or two just to load a number on the screen. That speed also showed up in the tests. It hit 212 in just 1 second during the boiling water test, which was the fastest of the group. In the sous vide test, it averaged 5 seconds. Right around the group average, but it was one of only 2 thermometers to hit the exact target of 124 degrees Fahrenheit. In the ice bath, it averaged 4 seconds, which was the second fastest, and it hit 32 degrees exactly each time. So while it wasn't the fastest across the board, it was the most consistently accurate across all 3 tests. It also passed my 20-minute submersion test with no issues, and it survived both drop tests without any damage. The screen is bright and easy to read in the dark, but like most thermometers in the group, the digits disappear if you tilt it too far. One minor complaint is the battery compartment. The rubber gasket that seals out water also makes it harder to screw back in. Now that you know the pros and cons of each instant read thermometer, the question is, which ones are worth buying and which ones should you avoid? Before I give you my take, I just want to let you know that everything I tested is linked in the video description. The best overall is clearly the ThermoWorks Thermapen ONE. When it comes to instant read thermometers, accuracy and speed are what matter most. And the Thermapen ONE performed excellent in both categories. It was the most accurate across all 3 tests and consistently one of the fastest. It doesn't have extras like a magnet or lock button, but those things are much less important than performance. If the Thermapen ONE is too pricey, my number 2 recommendation is the Javelin PRO Duo. It performed nearly as well in the speed and accuracy tests, and I like the stabilization alert and the magnet. The Typhur InstaProbe core is also a solid option. I love the sleek design and always-on LED display. It also comes with a 10-year warranty, while the others besides Alpha Grillers are less than 5 years. But in terms of performance, it didn't match the Javelin and it costs a little bit more, so the value isn't as strong. Although the prices are tempting, Alpha Grillers was consistently inaccurate, ThermoPro was slow, and I really dislike the fixed probe design of the ThermoPop 2. A fold-in probe is just much safer and more practical. If you're still not sure which to buy, this chart will help you compare all the options side by side. Pause the video to read. If this was helpful, check out this video where I show you the best grill brushes, or this video where I break down the best food storage containers. And for more videos like this, click the logo to subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.